The underwater aspect and life of the Legend of Zelda games is something that fascinates me. I can't quite explain it or put my exact thoughts into words, but I've always been a huge fan of the dungeons deep below the waves, massive lakes, rivers and seaside beaches in the heart of the kingdom, the sheer ability to dive deep below the surface via a breathable tunic, and I especially adore the fishing and aquatic life within the games. It may be a weird fascination to some, but I love this stuff. However, within this wonderful wet world comes many mysteries. What are the origins of the ghost ship that sails the Great Sea? Who built the water temple below Lake Hylia? And one of my favourites and today's topic, why does the lake scientist in Ocarina of Time have a shark at the bottom of his diving pool? Yes, you heard that right. Within the Lakeside Laboratory in Ocarina of Time lies a shark, and not a small one. Whilst this could just be a little scare from the developers, I think there may be more to the story here. It is probably just a joke from the developers placed there to scare people, but hey, it's fun to overthink things. Call this a weird or dumb topic, but I am a theorist. It's literally in the job description to overthink and overanalyze stuff in video games. So before you leave your angry comments, yes, I know it's more than likely just a scare, but let's look into it as if it was 100% real. Plus, I find it really fun to do. So be sure to go grab yourself a snack or drink and show me them delightful meals on my social media, and let's get into the mystery of why the lake scientist has a shark at the bottom of his diving pool. To begin, we should take a look at the Lakeside Laboratory and scientists running it for any possible hints or clues?
What are we looking for? Clues!
As you probably guessed from the name, the lab is right next to Lake Hylia, in the southern portion of Hyrule. The exterior looks really cool, to be honest. The main building itself, a chimney tower and a watchtower, but what we're interested in is the interior. The inside is a marine life dream. Being a lover of things like fishing and aquatic life, I love this place. But dig a little deeper and things get weird. The lab is a cluttered study of experiments. The scientist has turtle shells hanging on the wall, large fossils, shells and crab remains on the shelves, potions and ingredients lined along the top and fishing trap designed shelves, notes all over the place, and of course, a live Octorok in a tank. I'd have to assume this is either a pet or for experiments, likely the latter. Aside from all the beakers on the desk, the only other notable things would be the saw blade and harpoons on the wall, the anchor next to them, the boat hanging from the ceiling, and the large fishing net cover also on the ceiling. There is also the scientist himself, who appears a little bit nutty, like a mad scientist, but hey, that's not a bad thing. Who doesn't love a little personality? There is of course the deep diving pool as well, which we'll get to shortly, but from this observation of the lab we can take away a few things. Firstly, the lab scientist is definitely not a minimalist. There are notes everywhere, and the storage situation is packed. Secondly, he has 100% been out to sea, for one reason or another. Aside from the elephant, or shark, in the room, we can tell this is from the large fishing nets, seashells, equipment, and boat. A lot of this gear would be overkill for freshwater expeditions. Overall, the lab is a bit of a mess, and I get the impression the lab scientist does some crazy experiments here based on just the beakers and mess alone. As for his diving pool, we know this is used to measure the depths an individual can dive to. In fact, if Link can make it to the bottom for roughly 20 seconds, the scientist will reward him with a heart piece. But if Link is to turn around whilst doing this dive, he will be faced with a massive shark locked behind a set of bars. This would give anyone quite the jump at first, and rightfully so. I remember growing up when I went swimming, I had this exact fear. Maybe this is the source of that fear. Regardless, it brings up more questions than answers. Speaking to the scientist after discovering this shark is surprising because it gives us no answers. He doesn't once mention the fact that he has a large shark in his pool, so why is it here? Well, to answer that question, we need to figure out a few things. What kind of shark is this, how it got here, and the big one, why is it here? With the information we just went over regarding the lab and the scientist, we will be able to figure out these questions. Looking at the shark closely helps us a little. We can't see the full body as it probably stretches into the darkness of its cage, but it appears to be a great white. Some could argue it's a bull shark, but comparing the head structure of a great white and bull shark, it matches up with the great white a lot more. I can tell you one thing, it's definitely not a gorge shark, as seen in Majora's Mask in the Wind Waker. This is important to know, as great whites can only survive in salt water. If they found themselves in fresh water, such as Lake Hylia, they wouldn't last long due to their biological needs. So the pool here must have some salt content to it, which is very possible. Knowing it's a great white means we know where it came from, the sea. But how did it get here? We know for a fact it couldn't have swam up the Zora River or something. Lake Hylia isn't connected to the sea in any way. The Zora River is the only connection to the lake, and at that, it just wouldn't be physically possible for a shark to travel the river to the lake, meaning this shark was transported, probably in some sort of tank attached to a carriage. We know goods and cattle can be transported this way as seen across the entire series, so there is a fair chance a one-off model was made to move aquatic life, especially for the scientist. We are getting a little bit speculative, but I guess you can't know everything. So going off the assumption he had some sort of horse-pulled cart to transport the shark, I guess the only question left, and in all honesty, the main question, why did the scientist bring it here? Moving back inside the lab, we know the shark lives at the very bottom of the diving pool, inside its own little cage which is built underground. We don't actually know how much room it has, there could be an entire chamber behind it, or it could simply have that small little pod. One strange thing is that great whites need a current in the water to survive. This is a video game, so I'll cut it some slack there, but the water does look to be rather still. Perhaps this tunnel is a filter of sorts, which creates a flow of water? I don't know. Looking around the room, as we previously mentioned, the lab scientist has a few collectibles of sorts. Notably, the seashells, a fossil and a crab shell on the shelves, along with the live Octorok in the tank. Yes, it looks a bit, well, dead, but considering it has a filler pump of sorts, I'd like to think it's alive, just sitting very still, because you know, that's what Octoroks do. Knowing he is a scientist and that there isn't anything rigged up to the Octorok, it's alive, and the general look of it might actually indicate that this is just a pet. If it wasn't, I'd imagine he would have done something with it already, like eat it. And no, that's not a joke. I say this because during the game's trading sequence quest for the Begoron sword, you need to bring the scientist an eyeball frog to create eye drops, but the scientist thinks it's for him to eat, literally saying, "These eyeballs are so delicious. Tonight I will cook fried eyeballs for the first time in a long time." Yeah, if he would eat that, I have no doubts that he would eat an Octorok as well. This leads me to my next guess, and hold on to your seats folks, it's a big one. The shark at the bottom of the pool is a pet. But this isn't a good thing. You see, if this is his pet, he has a literal great white shark living in a small, indoor space with nothing to stimulate its natural environment, no other species to live with, nothing. In fact, if this is indeed a pet to him, that would mean he stole this shark from the ocean and brought it home for himself. Perhaps that is the reason he keeps it so out of sight, so that if, say, the royal family or someone like Link came by to stop for help, potions or medicine, they don't see his pet shark. His illegal pet shark. Call it an assumption, but I bet you owning a shark without the necessary housing and care is not legal. Surely if this shark was for experimentation or research, he would need a lot more space to work with, or at the very least have the shark at the surface to work on. This is not a practical location to experiment with. This whole situation just baffles me. That's my theory. The shark at the bottom of the pool is a pet of the lab scientist, an illegal pet, a stolen pet. This theory does rely on some speculation, so please do take it with a grain of salt. Or a tablespoon. But this topic has interested me for years. It's such a silly topic in all honesty, but with heavy theory after heavy theory, you gotta let your hair down every now and then. This is just what I think though. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments down below. Or hey, maybe the developers just put it there to scare the living shit out of players. Thanks a ton for checking out the video, I really do appreciate it, and if you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like to support the channel and subscribe for more Zelda content. What do you think about this? It's a bit of a funny and wacky topic, but why do you think there is a shark at the bottom of the Lakeside Laboratory? Let me know in the comments and let's get a discussion going. Huge thanks to all of my Patreon supporters for your incredibly generous support to the channel. It really helps me to make these videos as often as possible and to the highest quality possible. Also, special mention to my newest patron, AJ. Thank you so much for the support. Again, thanks for watching, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.